June, the Boston Celtics won their 16th NBA title in triumphant fashion over a surprise opponent. The Houston Rockets had impressed everyone as the new power in the West, having crushed the Lakers before finally bowing to Boston. A new rivalry seemed to be born. This year, both Houston and Boston, to a lesser extent, are struggling. Injuries have limited the Celtics, Bill Walton in particular, the team in general. But things are worse in Houston. Injuries to both of the Rockets' twin towers, off-the-court rumors of internal friction, and the latest bombshell, 2 players dismissed from league play for drugs. Today, these 2 teams return to the Garden for the first time since the champagne flowed last spring. But this is a new year, and the rivalry resumes with many new questions to answer. Sold-out Boston Garden as usual. The defending world champion Celtics go against the Western Conference champions, the Houston Rockets. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton. Ordinarily, a rematch of last year's title teams would speak for itself, but not so today, because the stories surrounding this game are really limitless. And, of course, the big one, the bombshell, exploded this week when the NBA, in the very tough anti-drug policy, expelled 2 of the Houston Rocket guards, Lewis Lloyd and Mitchell Wiggins, permanently, although they could, again, reapply in 2 years because they did not come forward with their drug problems, as opposed to others who have in the past and have gotten other chances. Players Association in the NBA in the shocking, unprecedented move this week. And, of course, we'll tell you more about this story at the half when Pat O'Brien will also have a live interview with the Rockets general manager, Ray Patterson. And it's, I guess, ironic and a bit sad that both of these finalists last year have been hit hard because of the drug problem. The Rockets this week, and of course, you know, the Boston Celtics lost their #1 draft pick, Len Bias, who died because of a drug overdose shortly after the draft last year. The Celtics, meanwhile, on the court, have the 2nd-best record in the NBA, but they've had their problems. They really have no bench to speak of, and their starting 5 have played remarkably, but they may be wearing down before long. As far as the Houston Rockets are concerned, we told you about the injuries to Olajuwon and Sampson, the internal friction. And the Houston Rockets, though, have responded. They have won 5 in a row, and that is the longest current winning streak in the NBA. And on Friday, they added a new player, but an old face. Cedric Maxwell, the former Boston Celtic, is now a member of the Houston Rockets. He's suited up and is expected to play today. My partner is Tommy Heinsohn. And, Tommy, the question I've got to ask, of course, the effect of losing the 2 guards on the Houston Rockets, and why Maxwell now?
Well, Dick, basketball-wise, I don't think they'll be hurt too much. Morale-wise, we'll have to wait and see. But I think Dirk Minniefield and Steve Harris will come into their own, given time to play. And Robert Reid is back in shape and can play that off guard just as well as anybody in the league. I think Cedric Maxwell, a very important acquisition for this ball club. He gives them a man that can rest Rodney McCray and not lose anything in defense. That's what they like out of Rodney McCray, the good defense. Maxwell will give it to him.
As they boo the Rockets, let's talk about the Boston Celtics. Without a bench, how long can this team go before they wear down in this long season?
Well, last year, they called it the green team, that second unit. This year, it's more like the black and blue team. The key loss, of course, is Walton. Walton's time as a premier backup center and power forward, very, very important to the Celtics last year. They have nobody on their bench right now to fill that bill. The backcourt is pretty good off the bench, but they're all small people. No big boards off the bench.
All right, Tommy, this is the first meeting between these clubs since the Celtics won the title last June over the Rockets. We'll see what transpires today. Coming up, it's the NBA on CBS. Today's game from the Boston Garden is brought to you by Miller Lite. For great taste, there's only one light beer. By Renault and Jeep, official vehicles of the NBA. And by Milky Way Bar. A Milky Way a day helps you work, rest, and play. Sampson, McCray, Olajuwon, Reid, and Minniefield for the Rockets. Bird, McHale, Parish, Dennis Johnson, and Danny Ainge, who re-sprained an ankle Friday night. Didn't practice yesterday, but here he is starting again. The officials working today are Bill Sarr and Mike Mathis. And we're set to go. The Rockets have won 8 of their last 9. The Celtics have won 3 in a row, 10 of their last 11. But the Rockets could not win in Boston Garden in last year's championship final.
I think the key to this game is who controls the tempo. The Rockets love to run on everything. Boston doesn't want their big guys to get tired. They got to slow it down.
So the tempo could be the story, the tale, as we're underway. And Sampson comes out to guard Parish, and the ball thrown away by Parish. Dennis Johnson going into the press level.
The Rockets, when they don't run, really rely a great deal on Hakeem Olajuwon in the low post. And baby, he is one tough customer to handle down there.
He was out 7 games with a sprained ankle, still limping. But he recently had a career high of 44 points. Here's Minniefield. Reid. Here's Olajuwon, double team with Bird and Parish. And Ainge fights Sampson, and he'll jump it up. And a big edge for Sampson and the Rockets, but good hustle for Danny Ainge.
It's good defense by the Celtics. They forced Olajuwon to take that fall-away jumper. That's what they want to do. They don't like him to come powering into the basket. So the more times they can get him to take the fall-away jumper, the better the Celtics will like it.
7-4, jumping against 6-5. The Rockets control. Still no score. Opening minute. Robert Reid, long range, misses. And the Rockets still have it in a new clock. Minniefield came over from Cleveland in a trade December the 8th. The deal was for draft picks. And there's Dirk Minniefield missing. And McHale outpositioned Sampson and the Celtics.
Celtics really saying Dirk Minniefield and Robert Reid beat us from the outside, and then we'll worry about you.
McHale. Normally automatic for him, and Olajuwon gets the rebound. And here the Rockets pushing it up with Minniefield. McCray against Bird, a familiar matchup last June. And we'll have a loose ball foul called against the Houston Rockets.
Another big key, Dick, is whose big men, Sampson, Olajuwon, McHale, or Parish, get into foul trouble the earliest. And it would hurt Boston more in that regard because they don't have the big man bench.
And the Rockets have Peterson and now Maxwell coming off the bench. So they're well fortified there. Foul was on Ralph Sampson. First foul of the game. McCray, good defense on Bird. And McHale misses. Still no score. But Danny Ainge caught his own pass, discontinued, turns it over, and Danny Ainge is yelling that Minniefield committed a foul. He won't win that one.
This man with the ball has been outstanding this year, Rodney McCray. And he's added an extra dimension to that fast break, a hard push of the ball by a quick forward. That's something special.
Reid is guarded by Dennis Johnson. Nearly 2 minutes gone by and still no score, and the Rockets still have it. 9 seconds on the 24-second clock. Nothing, and nearly 2 minutes gone by. We won't have a shutout. Sampson for 2 hits, the first basket of the game. Ralph Sampson.
And he's not been playing that far away from the basket this year as he did last year.
Dennis Johnson driving around Robert Reid, but Olajuwon made him change his shot, and now the Rockets with McCray throws the ball away going for Reid, and on the turnover, Celtics ball. And
the Rockets are running much better. That technique and execution, even though there was a turnover that time, they're running much better this year than they did last year when they faced the Celtics in the playoffs.
Yeah, you said that they really had a better break going now.
I think Dirk Minniefield has given them an extra dimension, a quick push up the court with the ball, and always under control.
In the corner, Danny Ainge. There's McHale with the offensive rebound. Bird with a pass to McHale, couldn't handle it. And McCray picks it up for the Houston Rockets, and it's still 2-0 Houston, and nearly 3 minutes gone by. Sampson's hook shot misses, and here's Bird. Both teams are ice cold, and when was the last time the Celtics didn't score in nearly 3 minutes? Bird misses, rebound Olajuwon. 4 rebounds for Hakeem Olajuwon.
Doug, do the Rockets put the heat on you, boy? They take it right to you.
But on the turnover, the Celtics again, 8:50 on the clock. It's still 2-0. Bird in 3-point range. Parish. One-on-one defense by Olajuwon. Basket counts and a foul, and the Celtics get on the board with nearly 3.5 minutes gone by in this game.
Olajuwon playing Parish is a a good matchup to watch because Parish can get bounced out of the low post position. He's in the sweet spot right now, and that good up fake allows the Parish to make the shot and pick up the foul on Olajuwon.
Hakeem's first and a three-point play for Parish is off to his best start this year. He's been the leading rebounder for the Celtics. There's the time remaining, first period, 3-2 Celtics. Minniefield trying to penetrate. Sampson fakes McHale. Reid misses, but the Rockets passed well. Ainge going in, and he's fouled. So Ainge penetrating. That's one of the things he picked up last year to add to his game, and that was the ability to drive to the hoop.
You know, they're a surprising team fast break-wise. They don't have great foot speed, but they always seem to be able to advance the ball quickly. Ainge probably the fastest player to dribble the ball up the court.
McHale hits the shot from close in, and you saw the horrendous shooting so far in the game. Minniefield, by the way, committed that last foul. Olajuwon double teamed. Minniefield hits the jumper, and Dirk Minniefield.
Now that's the only outside shot they've hit besides Sampson to try and keep that defense off Olajuwon.
Parish working inside, and Robert Parish now has 5 of the 7 Celtic points. They lead at 7-4.
Boy, and is he getting sweet position in that low post, Robert Parish.
7:35 remaining, first period. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn. These teams played for the title last year. Sampson against McHale, and they'll call the foul on Kevin. And Ralph Sampson, who really has had a history of struggling in a big way at Boston Garden. You remember Game 6 last year after that fight in Game 5. He was a no-show.
Well, I'll tell you, emotionally, it was the most difficult position for a ball player to be in after having a big fight coming into the other team's building. A lot of coaches would have told him, hey, go out there and make a hard foul as soon as you step out on the court and show those people that you're not going to be afraid of anything. Well, Ralph kind of got lost emotionally in that final game.
So that's why it'll be interesting to see how he responds in his first game back at Boston Garden after that nightmare. Bird from Ainge hits, and Larry Bird is on the board, and the Celtics lead 9-6. Larry Bird 4th in the league in scoring. McHale is 5th. And Bird on a steal. Quick pass to Ainge. Parish, the trailer. And a loose ball foul will be called against the Houston Rockets. And Parish was a little unsure on that pass. Otherwise, I think the Celtics will have an easy 2.
We're going to see a good steal by Bird. He's got great hands for a man his size. He goes in on the double team. They're going to try and take the ball out of the hands of Olajuwon. And that pass, just an errant, slow bounce pass.
And on the turnover, the Rockets get it back. Sampson playing away from the basket. Going in is McCray. Misses. Sampson is fouled, and someone grabbed him on the way down. He'll go to the line and shoot 2.
I'll tell you, Boston right now is able to get 3 men back on the against the fast break. Bird hustling his tail off to make sure they don't get an easy one.
Casey Jones Chargers lead by 3 in a timeout. A prominent bill of fare on CBS Sports today. Syracuse ranked 5th, the only unbeaten team in the Big East, had a chance, the Big East I should say, has a chance to move up with UNLV losing yesterday, but they have to play the tough Wolverines. Michigan at Ann Arbor, and Michigan gave Indiana quite a battle this week. The season premiere of CBS Sports Sunday later on. The All-Madden team, a Super Bowl preview, the World Triathlon Championship. That will be at 4:30 Eastern on CBS Sports.
I think if you were a player, you would definitely make the All-Madden.
No way.
Yes.
No, you would.
No, you would have.
Ralph Sampson wouldn't either.
Too big, huh?
Sampson hits the first free throw.
Yeah, Bird would make the All-Madden team. I pick Larry Bird.
I'd pick him for anything, actually. 9-8 the score. 6:45 remaining in the first period. Dennis Johnson guarded by Reid. Gambling with Sampson. Ball away by Bird. Larry Larry Bird with his second basket of the ball game. The Celtics, by the way, have not had a losing month since Larry Bird turned pro. That's 50 months of winning basketball since number 33 donned the green and white.
I'd have to say it probably is directly attributable to Larry Bird.
Pass to Olajuwon and a foul on Parish. It was a fine pass by Minniefield. He got it over Robert. You do that, forget it.
They're showing different looks at Hakeem Olajuwon. Now you watch them fight for position. This is where the big guys are liable to pick up foul trouble. Look at Robert Parish, feed him to the spot. But the Rockets take good advantage of that, go right over the top, and then Parish ends up with the foul from behind. But Hakeem is probably the best muscle guy on the entire Houston staff to get that low post position. So there's a battle going to go on between Parish, McHale for low post spots.
Olajuwon was out 7 games with a sprained ankle, and the Rockets were held under 100 points in the next 6 games. To give you an idea what Olajuwon means to this team. The Celtic lead is 11-9 with halfway through this opening period. Olajuwon is on McHale. And Olajuwon gets a piece of the ball and a piece of McHale for a foul. No one can really guard Kevin McHale in the NBA.
He has acquired so many moves now. When he first came in, it was just a fall-away jump shot when he got in the low post. Now he uses that as a fake. And he'll throw 2 or 3 fakes at you before he finally gets enough room, sees enough blue sky to get the shot off.
The foul was on Olajuwon, his second, and McHale makes the free throw. McHale, by the way, to talk about his consistency, has scored 20 points a game in all but 1 game for the Celtics this year. That's tremendous.
I think he's made a bigger impact on this year's team than perhaps even Larry Bird.
1 out of 2 from the line and 5:45 remaining opening period. The Celtics by 3. Now this time on the low post, it's Sampson with a hook shot. Misses everything. The air ball, Bird has it. Sampson has scored 6, though, and Minniefield picks it up from Ainge. Bird is back.
What a defensive play that was by Minniefield, though.
Olajuwon goes up with a tough scoop shot. Dennis Johnson comes down with it. Celtics with the ball in a 3-point lead. Bird, no-look pass to Parish. Both teams' defenses are outstanding so far. Ainge fakes Olajuwon, misses the shot, wide open, and here comes Minniefield pushing it up with 5 minutes to go.
But the Spurs Celtics back on defense. They're really hustling against the hard push.
They are. And on the errant pass, Dennis Johnson is fouled, and Ralph Sampson commits the foul. It'll be his second foul and will put the Rockets over the limit. So Dennis Johnson will go to the line and shoot a pair.
Psychologically, anytime a 7'4" ball player goes down to try and steal the ball from a guard, the referee is going to give the benefit to the guard. I mean, that was a real foolish foul. Those are the type of things that Ralph gets criticized for.
He'll go out, and Jim Peterson comes into the ball game, and Sampson, who has scored 6 of the Rockets' 9 points, goes to the bench.
If you were to compare the 2 big guys of the Rockets against the 2 big guys of the Celtics, I would say that the Celtics big guys do not give up foolish fouls. They really earn their fouls. They make them count.
Is it strictly experience?
It could very well be, but Ralph has been around a while, and he shouldn't be making those silly fouls.
So Ralph is out. Jim Peterson, who's the top front court reserve, is in the ball game now. 14-9. The Celtics by 5. We're in the first period. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn, Boston Garden, the NBA on CBS. Ainge quickly doubles. 9 on the clock. Minniefield drives in, and the big men in white get the rebound. Ainge. Parish gets the basket.
You know, Robert Parish doesn't usually fake his opposing center, but he's thrown at least 1 fake every time he's handled the ball against Olajuwon.
Robert Parish has 7 points. He is the game-high scorer, and that's the kind of year he's had. And a timeout called by the Rockets with the Celtics leading 16-9.
Okay. The key guy on stopping Houston's fast break is really Larry Bird right here. When he's in the backcourt, you better believe he's getting back to protect. The guard, Danny Ainge, is going to hustle, and an extra man, Kevin McHale, is really busting his tail to get back there. Dennis Johnson is already there, so even a hard push thwarts the efforts of the 3-man attack. There's 4 men back against 3 of the Houston Rockets. and therefore they lose the ball in trying to make a pass. Boston covering the fast break very effectively here in the first quarter.
Larry Bird, who leads the league in free throw shooting, right up there in three-point scoring as well. 4 minutes, 10 seconds to go first period. 16-9 Boston, and Rodney McCray goes to the basket, and McCray has widened his scoring from 10 to 13 points this season.
Last year, when you used to back off Rodney McCray, he'd pass the ball. This year, he's driving straight to the hoop. Strong move for Larry Bird to deal with.
Dennis Johnson is short, and he was fouled going up. Interesting that the Rockets shooting only 17%, trailing by only 5 points. A good sign for them, but a personal foul is on Reid, his second. So already, Sampson, Olajuwon, and Reid have been hit with 2 personal fouls.
As well as this, Boston first 5 has been playing all season long. They've had great difficulties of getting any kind of offense off the bench. So for Houston to be hanging this close when Boston has to go to the bench gives them a little bit of an edge, believe it or not.
It does, because if you hang close and you're not shooting well or not rebounding well, normally that comes to play, and of course the bench will probably be the determining factor in this game.
They have some real outstanding offensive people on the bench, the Rockets.
7-point Celtic lead, 18-11. Reid had a hot night the other night. He missed some games with injuries. Top of the key, hits the shot, and Robert Reid, who had a season high of 26 against the Bulls Wednesday, brings the Rockets to within 5.
He's got his outside shooting touch back in order.
McHale, forget that. When you loop it into McHale, count it. And Kevin McHale has 5.
That had to be a perfect pass. It was so long.
McHale picks it off. The Celtics are like redwood trees if you go inside to penetrate. Ainge with a fake pass, misses the shot. Peterson. Minniefield with a little problems, and under 3 minutes to go in the first period. Reid hits his second in a row. He missed 8 games. He had arthroscopic surgery on his right knee, and the team is running better. One of the reasons that Reid can run now.
Well, he becomes the off guard, and last year he became a point guard, so he increased his dribbling ability a lot. So that gives a lot of versatility to the Houston fast break.
Ainge, now McCray on the pass, and they're going to call the foul on Dennis Johnson, which the crowd doesn't like, and neither does Dennis. McCray went strong to the hoop, and Dennis Johnson with his first personal.
McCray really has a lot more speed than Larry Bird, and he can get free, and he has great leaping ability. But when he's out in the open, the versatility of him being able to jump so high puts a lot of pressure on a guard.
He has been the point forward and actually the top playmaker on the Rockets this year. Very quiet, efficient, businesslike, and gets the job done in a big manner. And of course, he has been a key for Bill Fitch, and now with Cedric Maxwell, he can do things with McCray.
He doesn't seem to get tired, I'll tell you, from what we saw last year, but the addition of Maxwell may have an impact on him like Walton had on Robert Parish last season.
2.5 to play, opening period. 22-17, the Celtics lead. Rockets scored the first basket of the game. The Celtics have had the lead ever since. McHale missing. Rockets trying to cut it to 3. Reid's been hot outside. McCray gets a good offensive rebound. Looking for room and gets the basket on a very tough reverse layup straight under the hoop.
What a play. I'll tell you. Super basketball play.
And we have under 2 minutes now remaining in the opening period. Things heating up at Boston Garden. It's 22-19 Celtics, and now it's 24 as Larry Bird hits his third basket. Peterson setting a screen for Minniefield. McCray with another offensive rebound. But this time Bird does the defensive job on him, and the Celtics coming back. Ainge with a hard pass to Dennis Johnson. Bird driving and a foul.
Let's take a look at a successful offensive rebound by Rodney McCray. He can just simply outleap Larry Bird, and he moved him in underneath the basket for good position. Here's the up fake. Lifts McHale. Parish takes a swipe at it and then powers it up. It could have been a foul on that play, too, by Robert Parish.
Meanwhile, Robert Reid has picked up his third personal foul, and Greg Kite The backup center has come into the ball game, and I wouldn't be surprised after an overtime game. Technical foul called on Robert Reid, and that's why Bird is on the line. After the overtime Friday against Cleveland, we may see a lot more of the bench for the Celtics than we normally do.
I think that this particular style of play, where the big people of the Celtics really have to run to stop the fast break, that Casey Jones will use Kite perhaps a little bit more than he has in the last few ball games.
He's a banger. Reputation to some as a bully, but he makes his presence felt as Greg Kite. Bird 1 of 2 from the line after making the technical foul, and it's 26-19, matching the biggest lead for the Celtics.
I'll tell you, you're going to see a fight for position with Kite and Olajuwon now, because Kite really knows how to lean.
Parish went out of the game. Reid misses the shot inside. Quick pass from Bird to Ainge. Winding down to a minute to go in the opening period. Peterson is on McHale. They both played at the University of Minnesota, different times. Bird misses, and he'll have a foul against the Celtics, and it may be Kite a little overzealous inside.
Let's take a look at Greg Kite really leaning on Olajuwon. That's pro basketball. Get at him, that sweet spot in the low post, but now the penetration makes him move out and cut off the angle. But watch what Bird does. Step right inside so that Olajuwon couldn't get the rebound.
But Kite has called for the foul at the other side, and Olajuwon will shoot, and the Rockets bring in Steve Harris, who was their #1 pick last year. He had a career-high 19 Friday night, and a guy I know you feel could be critical as far as the loss of guards.
I sure do. I think he's a key player as to how far this team will go down the stretch. I happen to believe he's got a lot of offensive tools, Steve Harris, and will come into his own with more playing time.
Jerry Seasting, number 12, replaces Danny Ainge. And Reid went out with 3 fouls, replaced by Harris. Olajuwon makes both free throws, and under a minute to go, it's 26-21, the Celtics lead. Harris is guarding Dennis Johnson. Bird driving in against 2 Rockets. And the Houston foul will send Larry Bird to the line with 41 seconds remaining.
I'll tell you, Bird has been using the pick and roll play, Dick, all season long, and 9 out of 10 times he gets an outside shot. Bill Fitch is challenging Bird not to shoot the outside shot, and they're jumping right out on him, forcing him to drive to the hoop. They're going to make Bird work today.
Last year, he kind of made his game the outside shot. He really cut down on the inside play.
Well, when he shoots the ball outside, that leaves him in good defensive position to help stop that vaunted rocket fast break.
10-point lead, 10 points now for Larry Bird. The foul was on Peterson, and hitting the jumper is Steve Harris. He can develop as an outside shot. He's been used at both guard positions, but perhaps off guard may be his best position.
I think once he gets the playing time and knows that Bill Fitch will not lift him if he misses an outside shot, that he will get better and better, Steve Harris.
A pushing foul, offensive foul called against the Boston Celtics, and with 16 seconds, Houston will get the last shot. Larry Bird, his first personal foul. 28-23 in the final seconds of the first period. Peterson. This is the baseline. 4 seconds to go. Bird. And that'll do it. Hakeem Olajuwon did not get a field goal in that first period. Bird with 10 is the leading scorer in the ball game. The Celtics lead it 28-23 after 1 period of the NBA on CBS. 28-23 the score after 1 period, and Ralph Sampson and McCray each have 6. Sampson says the key to how he plays is how fast he gets out of the gate.
If the flow of the game don't come direction early in the game or first 2 quarters, then in the 4th quarter I found myself in that same trend, passing the ball, getting the ball to the open guy, and my points don't go up, then I don't rebound, I don't do a lot of things that well towards the end of the game.
Well, he went out of the game with 2 personal fouls, and he has 6 points, and he remains out of the game as we start the second period. It'll be Olajuwon, Peterson, McCray up front. It'll be Minniefield, who's played all the way for the Rockets, and Steve Harris. And Fred Roberts has come in the ball game for the Boston Celtics, and he has been perhaps their most potent guy from the bench. What has he given him, Tommy?
Well, he's not great at any one thing, Dick. He's not a great rebounder, great shooter, but he runs the lanes on the fast break really well, and he plays good out on the court defense against most good quick forwards.
And another new face on the Celtics, Darren Day, the ex-Bullet, briefly with Chicago, comes in as well. So now the Celtics basically are going with 3 reserves and 2 starters. Olajuwon going in, and he traveled, so turns it over to the Boston Celtics. So this is key. The Celtics have a 5-point lead and going to their bench now.
When they're using these people right now, it's not whether this group can score more points, increase the lead. It's whether they can hold the lead.
Seasting, Day, and Roberts off the bench along with Parish and McHale. Darren Day hits the jumper. He's a 6'8" swing man who cut his chin recently, and the former Bullet, Casey Jones, likes what he sees in Darren Day.
They've been using him mostly as a forward.
McCray, fall-away shot. Last touch by Peterson, Celtics ball.
McCray got fouled going across there, no whistle.
Seasting bringing the ball up. He was so effective last year hitting the open jump shot coming off the bench for the Celtics. Day is inside, and Steve Harris commits the foul.
Now this is a great move by Casey Jones. Darren Day, I can't remember seeing him play the big guard spot all season long, and all of a sudden they're going to try and pick the pocket of Steve Harris by putting Darren Day in that low post a little bit.
And he's got something like a 6-inch advantage here. Seasting hits the jump shot. Jerry Seasting, who has recovered from a debilitating stomach illness, and that affected his shooting.
Well, a couple of points out of the bench, Day and Seasting.
And Steve Harris driving the baseline, cuts the lead again to 7. Minute and a half gone by in the second period. The Celtics, after a 2-0 Houston lead, have been in control of this game. Roberts pass behind him, loses it to McCray. A lot of red shirts, but Darren Day couldn't hold it, and Olajuwon goes in for the jam. It looked like Day had made a fine play, Tony.
But he forgot who was on the other end of the ball. Hakeem. He ripped it out of there like, wow.
He thought it was rugby and not soccer.
I thought he had the ball, and the next thing it was in Hakeem's hands.
Seasting hits his second in a row. That'll help the Celtics if Jerry Seasting can get off the mark quickly.
He had an intestinal virus for quite some time during December, and he lost 15 pounds. 15 pounds off Jerry Seasting is a lot of weight.
Peterson fakes McHale, and the foul on Kevin McHale. You remember last year in the finals, Kevin McHale took Jim Peterson to school. 9:39 remaining in the second period. There's our score. Last night, Indiana with a big win over Dallas. Indiana game over 500 now, and 2 overtimes over 500. Detroit beating New Jersey. Isaiah Thomas. Cleveland, after sending the Celtics into overtime, beat the New York Knicks at home. Chicago, what a job Doug Collins is doing, beating Philadelphia, but Jeff Ruland is back. San Antonio defeated Utah. The Jazz are in a slump right now. Phoenix with a big win over the Clippers, scoring 130 points in the process. And Sacramento beat Seattle. Yet Seattle is 3 games over 500, and a lot of surprising teams in that Pacific Division. Peterson hits the first free throw after that foul by McHale, which was his second.
Yeah, Peterson has really improved as a player. First game we did this season with, I watched Jim Peterson. He was 100% better getting rebound position than he had been the prior year.
Tommy, the Rockets, seeing the reserves in there for the Celtics, have brought back Robert Reid and Ralph Sampson, despite the fact that Reid has 3 fouls and Sampson 2. Seasting misses, and it goes out of bounds. Houston ball. So it looks like Bill Fitch wants to cut that lead right now. He doesn't want to waste much time.
Well, beat up on the bench. That's what Bill Fitch is gambling on now. I'm going to put my first stringers in there and beat up on the Boston bench and see what happens later.
At the risk of getting Reid and Sampson in more foul trouble. Wide open was Steve Harris, and Harris hits the jumper from the corner on a good feed from Sampson.
An excellent read of the defense to find the open man by Ralph Sampson.
It's a 34-31 game. The Celtics lead. Just under 9 minutes remaining in the first half. Fred Roberts. Now Bird against McCray. Doesn't go for the fake. Darren Day gets it into Parish, and a 3-second violation called against the Celtics.
That's a good move by Bill Fitch to bring Reid back in the game to play Darren Day. That took away that height advantage, and Jerry Seasting now will have to guard a much bigger player in Steve Harris.
The chess game. Sampson loses the ball. He was doubled. Here is Seasting pushing it up for the Celtics. Day to Parish. Fine pass by Darren Day, and filling the lane was Parish, who now has 9.
Boy, did he get up quickly on that fast break.
Peterson comes back and is fouled by Fred Roberts. It's a 5-point game, and there is Fred Roberts, unusual looking 6th man who played at Brigham Young. This is his 5th NBA club. Dennis Johnson is back into the ball game, and Darren Day goes out, and he made his presence felt.
Made a hoop and played some pretty decent defense, but as the bench is retreating a little bit, the Celtic lead has been cut into, hasn't it?
It has, and Roberts goes out, and McHale comes back in, and Casey Jones really hasn't been able to establish roles, I guess, for the bench.
They have had to use what, in essence, Fred Roberts, their 9th man, as a starter at times, and Jerry Seasting has moved up from 7th man to a starter sometimes. So they've never been able to really come up with a cohesive unit approach to how to use that second team.
Well, Casey's tired of hearing the questions about the bench, but they'll always be around. So after the 2 free throws, 36-33, Celtics. Bird wanted to pass into Parish. High arcing fall away. Most coaches would say you're out of the game trying a shot like that.
And he got it over a 7'4" man, too. I mean, he had to put some arc on that baby.
12 points for Bird. That was his first bucket in the second period. Harris. 4 for 4 from the field is Steve Harris, and the Rockets hang in there, trailing by 3.
But what was really impressive, how well he used that pick to sneak behind so that Seasting couldn't get at him.
Ainge will be coming back in shortly. Good fake. Parish faked Sampson, and a foul called against the Rockets. It'll be Rodney McCray. Injuries are the reason why the Celtics have bench problems. Look, 91 games lost this year, only 38 last year, and even Bird was without 6. He's missed more games this year than in any other single season, to give you an idea. And we're not even talking about Walton and Wedman, the loss of those 2.
I think Casey Jones has coached around those injury problems. He ought to be coach of the year for that alone, I'll tell you. I think it's his best coaching job, even though he won 2 championships.
A lot of times, you'll get a good coaching job when things aren't at the best. I mean, to me, Pat Riley, a lot of people thought that would be the end of the Lakers this year. Pat Riley has got to be right up there, coach of the year, too.
I would have to say that he's got to be there, but they have not sustained really serious injuries for a prolonged period of time to key players.
Danny Ainge with a foul, and Steve Harris will go to the line. When the season started, the Rockets were looking for backcourt help. They didn't draft in the backcourt. A lot of people questioned why, and they were hoping that somebody would come to the fore. Steve Harris did not before the season started, but maybe he'll blossom now that he's getting his big chance.
Well, they put the heat on him, and Bill Fitch said, it's your game now. Show me what you can do. But they're going to have to play him, and the ball player knows that, so he won't be looking over his shoulder every time he misses an outside shot.
McHale. 7 points for McHale. Celtics lead by 5 with under 7 minutes to go. McCray goes strong to the hoop with a very decisive slam over Parish.
Well, there's that hard push up the court after a made basket before your defense gets set, and McCray will make you pay.
Sampson loses Bird. He goes for 3. Rebound Peterson. And a chance for the Rockets to come to within 1. Steve Harris. Sampson fighting for the loose ball, but Parish gets it. And Sampson knocked it away from behind. And now we'll have a foul. Larry Bird might have been hit in the eye. And they're grabbing for the ball, and the foul will be against McCray, his second. As Bird checks his eye, we'll take a timeout with 6:23 remaining in the first half. Coach Bill Fitch has been in Houston. There's been reports of internal strife and players unhappy with Fitch, who's not the easiest guy in the world to work for, but his record shows he's a winner. But he has a sense of humor. Now, he made up dolls with the numbers of Rocket players, and there is the doghouse that Bill Fitch built for himself, and he got a laugh from the team for that.
How can they say this guy has no sense of humor?
Well, he does. We know that. We hope the players do.
Listen, it's not easy to get in that doghouse for a 7'4" guy, huh?
Well, you get a foot in it. Sampson all over Parish. Bird. Oh, great play by Bird. He's got 14. Under 6 minutes to go in the first half. 44-39 Celtics. And they're going to call the foul on Bird, his second, as he slapped the ball away.
The more that Boston can force the Rockets into their set offense, the more they like it, because they are a pretty good team defensive ball club, the Celtics, and they'll go out and gamble and slap at the ball.
14 fouls on Boston, one more there in the penalty. The Rockets have 3 team fouls. Reid over Johnson. Robert Reid is playing with 3 personal fouls. Brings the Rockets to within 3. McHale guarded, now doubled with Reid and Peterson. Finds the open man, Johnson, who finds a better open man, and Robert Parish.
If one thing has improved for Dennis Johnson at all this season, it's his passing. Boy, has he made some beauties this year.
Reid comes back with a 3-point shot, and Reid with 9. It's now a 46-44 game, and quietly the Houston Rockets are hanging on the trail of the Celtics in this first half.
They're counting on a sledgehammer effect. Keep hammering at them with fast breaks, and finally the Celtics will tire out.
Parish with the air ball. Parish has been playing a lot of minutes. McCray to Reid, in and out, but there's Sampson, and it's blocked by Parish. Here come the Celtics with Ainge. Rockets get back defensively.
And they wait till the 2 Celtic big guys, who are getting a little tired right now, dawdle up the floor.
Bird goes up and draws the foul as he's stripped. But you're right, they brought in Robertson quite briefly, but I don't know whether that's enough to really give the big men sufficient time to get a breather.
I mean, Casey Jones is faced with really watching to see how they breathe each minute on the court. And, I mean, you've got to play with Parish and McHale most of the game if you can.
Meanwhile, Bill Fitch has a problem with foul trouble as Bird goes to the line. Rodney McCray now has 3 fouls, and that will bring in Richard Anderson, a 6'10" shooter who had played in Italy and a couple of NBA clubs. McCray goes out.
And I'll tell you, if Cedric Maxwell were ready right now, this would be the spot in the game that he would be playing to guard a Larry Bird.
Anderson is 6'10", but he's known for his outside shooting.
Right, and he's not going to be able to handle Larry Bird, I don't think.
He's not been an effective shooter, even though that's what he does for a living. Sampson is looking for the foul, threw it up too hard, and the Celtics with a 4-point lead. Sampson is 1 for 5 from the field. Remember what he said about getting off to the quick start time.
A jump hook would have done much better than the shot he took.
Anderson on Bird. Fake. Scoop shot chipped in by McHale.
Well, I guarantee you the Celtics are going to go right at Anderson. Bird's going to see an awful lot of the ball for the next couple of minutes.
Under 4 minutes to go. 3:50 on the clock. 50-44. Peterson. Doubled. And his foul going inside. Kevin McHale can beat you so many ways.
And look at, he takes Anderson to the middle and then spins back, but you watch Kevin McHale from one side to the other. He comes with those long arms and nimble fingers to tip it in.
Meanwhile, McHale on the foul has chalked up his 3rd personal foul, and now Casey Jones has to go to the bench to Greg Kite. Olajuwon comes back in and Peterson shooting.
Well, this is disastrous for the Celtics because most of their offense is located in the form of Kevin McHale and Robert Parish. Now, Greg Kite is not a good offensive player, but they can perhaps get away with it because they'll use Larry Bird to go at Anderson.
McHale goes out having scored 9 points. 1 free throw for Jim Peterson. It's a 5-point Celtic lead. That's the time remaining in the first half. So far, the Celtics have maintained the lead when they've gone to the bench, but they haven't really opened up any kind of a lead, and the Rockets have stayed in there. Good fake by Bird. Parish with 15.
We're going to see Bird faking all over the place.
7-point lead and a turnover. Ball knocked away into the hands of Dennis Johnson. Peterson cleared. Rockets had a chance to push it up, but they don't have Minniefield in there right now, and he's their best man. Hakeem with a hook shot falling away in the lane, and Olajuwon has 7.
When they push the ball up hard like that and then get it quickly into the low post, there's not that many opportunities for the Celtics to double team Hakeem.
Great fake. Bird on Anderson, flips to Kite. Basket counts and a foul.
Here's Larry doing his thing. Little up fake. Anderson goes for it. And now Olajuwon has to adjust, and that leaves Kite open. Olajuwon gets back to him, but picks up the foul.
And it's 3 on Olajuwon. Fitch has a lot of guys with 3 fouls right now. Coming up to halftime shortly. Let's find out what we've got. Here's Pat O'Brien. Pat?
All right, Dick, thank you. Coming up at the half, as you might imagine, there's more than one story going on in Houston, and we'll cover all the bases for you. We will also talk live with Houston General Manager Ray Patterson, who has steered his club through adversity. And we'll take you out to the Super Bowl for a preview with Dick Vermeil and Tim Ryan, and they'll also talk about the controversy in Chicago between Mike Ditka and Mike McCaskey. All that, and as usual, much more, right where we always are, right here at the half. Back to you, Dick.
All right, Pat. 2:45 remaining in the first half, 54-47. The biggest lead has been a 9-point lead by the Celtics, but mostly it's been 5 and 7. As you can see, 3 of the Rockets with 3 fouls, and McHale also with that number, as Kite goes to the line to shoot 1.
And the foul line has been an adventure for Greg Kite.
Not there, but most of the time.
He's been 5 for 25 at one point, but he's been working on the free throw.
Well, you're right, 20%, but he looked like he was a 90%er on that one. 55-47, 8-point lead for the Celtics. 2.5 to play now in the first half. Reid. And Kite snares the rebound. Celtics can open up their biggest lead of the ball game if they get 2 here. Parish with a big first half. Not that time, and a loose ball foul against the Celtics, and it looks like Greg Kite with his second.
Casey Jones will not get angry at Greg Kite for that foul, because that's what he loves to see, is somebody banging hard on the boards. As a man with a sense of humor, you've had to have a sense of humor. Doesn't look like he's too happy right now, but
you never can tell, though.
You should have seen him when he was a player and he would get mad. I mean, he wouldn't talk to anybody. There's some smiley guys.
Bill Walton and Scott Wedman. Walton says maybe mid-February. The doctor, Tom Silva, said maybe March. He's had that surgery on his ankle. Scott Wedman has a heel injury that just won't go away, and they've missed over 30 games between them. 22nd timeout called for by the Boston Celtics with 2:09 remaining. You know, the bench, the green team you talked about at the top of the program. Well, here are the clubs over 500. These are the clubs that are getting the best production from their bench. Look where the Celtics are. 13 out of 13. Only 11%.
Well, Walton represented the style of the second unit of the Celtics. When he played last year, he would rebound and outlet the ball and get the fast break going. And Wedman was one of the beneficiaries of those quick outlet passes, the outside shot. So without those two in the lineup, they have no style to use for the bench, and they have no offensive players. The best possible guy on the bench right now offensively is Seasting and maybe Darren Day. So they're trying to maybe convert that bench into a defensive unit.
Bird baseline against Peterson, and the call for the offensive foul. That'll be 3 on Larry Bird. So Bird yelling as he goes up court at Mike Mathis, and now the Rockets with a chance to cut the Celtic lead to 4. Under 2 minutes to go. Anderson. Ball knocked away. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Johnson on Reid. Bird is picked out of the play. Richard Anderson misses, and Kite gets the rebound.
Good block out by Kite.
Pass to Parish for an easy 2 as he outraced both Peterson and Sampson down court.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no way that Sampson should be outraced by Robert Parish.
Ralph misses a hook shot. Parish gets the rebound, and Sampson is having another one of those Boston Garden games, it looks like, right now, at least. 1 for 6 for Sampson, and a foul.
You're going to see a little rebound coming up here, and Parish just taken off, already up the court, and Sampson knows he's going, but look at this perfect pass over the top. Sampson ran out of the play and then had to come back in and foul Robert Parish.
Larry Bird. And that matches the biggest lead of the game for the Celtics, and he could give them a 10-point bulge. Bird has 17, so does Robert Parish. McHale with 3 fouls has 9, so Bird and Parish today, and Bird with 18. The Celtics with their biggest lead with 1:10 remaining in the first half. Rockets with a 5-game winning streak. That's the longest streak in the league right now. Out of bounds, Rockets ball.
That was a good cut by Richard Anderson, and Sampson almost got him the ball.
7 on the shot clock. Reid to Harris with 1 second. He got it off in time and gets the basket. So Steve Harris is now 5 for 6 from the field and 12 points in this first half.
I think they have a real player in Steve Harris.
And I know you said that even before his 19-point effort against Chicago. Anderson, tough assignment against Bird. Getting help now as Sampson picks him up. A floater. Anderson in the rebound. 25 seconds to go. 8-point Celtic lead. 59-51. Differential of about 2 seconds between the game clock that you see and the 24-second clock. Reid. Wild shot. Bird has it. 5 seconds. Ainge over his shoulder. 2 seconds to go. And the basket is going to count. The basket counts. Ray Kite put it up in the nick of time.
Long pass by Bird. Ainge works it down, trying to find a shot. Now goes over, but watch Kite. Gets nudged out of the play and still converts. Soft fingers.
At halftime, the Celtics 61, the Rockets 51. We have plenty coming up with Pat O'Brien at the half when we come back to Boston Garden. The NBA on CBS. Today's game is sponsored by Chrysler, who believes a luxury car should be a great driving car. At Chrysler, they're driving to be the best. By American Airlines, something special in the air. And by U.S. Sprint, where every fiber optic call will sound like you're right next door.
4 out of the last 55 games here in the Boston Garden. They lead today by 10 points, 61-51. And hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Once again, welcome to At the Half. And no doubt about it, the big story in the NBA this week was in Houston, where Mitchell Wiggins and Louis Lloyd tested positive for cocaine and were kicked out of the league for life. Now, you may wonder through the headlines why it's so final for these two when you remember that John Lucas and Michael Ray Richardson, among others, got second and third chances. That's because they admitted to a drug problem and came for help. In the case of Wiggins and Lloyd, they did not come forward. The league had an investigation. They tested positive, so there is no compromise. The general manager of the Houston Rockets, Ray Patterson, will join us shortly to talk about all this. But first, let's examine the Rockets, who have had more than their share of these problems since going to the finals last season.
Sampson. Seasting and Sampson. And a melee is broken out here.
After losing to the Boston Celtics in 6 games in last year's NBA Finals, the Houston Rockets went into the summer asking themselves, are we a championship team? Well, as this season has unfolded so far, there have been so many distractions, they haven't been able to even think about that.
I think we just had some injuries, and since the time that they really started, they really hadn't stopped.
Just as you don't have a city without buildings, you don't have the Rockets without the tower. Stubborn injuries to them and Robert Reid. Perhaps an even more stubborn question is the relationship between Ralph and Coach Fitch. Depending on who you talk to, it's cool at best, but they're working on it.
Ralph has not yet learned to take his practice to the game, and I think it might be because he's too intense. I've got to be harder on him. I've probably got to work him more individually. Got to treat him more like I did when he was a rookie.
If you were the owner of the Rockets, would you hire Bill Fitch?
Well, if, that's a big word in the dictionary, English language. He's a good coach.
Would you hire him?
Would I hire him? I probably would. It depends on who I thought would coach a basketball team that was capable of winning.
As the season began, the Rockets lost 18 of their first 31, and the headlines were mostly negative. The capper was a report that Mitchell Wiggins and Sampson were purposely dogging it to get Fitch fired.
The guy had to be an imbecile to write something like that, that he didn't show a great deal of professionalism and that he hadn't talked to anybody about it. Would these players even think of such a thing? And it's absolutely an untruth.
It's a tag that I'll have for the rest of the year.
You think so?
Well, everywhere I've been since then, if I had a bad game, now I'm tanking it.
Then the shocker, and the Rockets had one more setback.
Mitchell Wiggins and Louis Lloyd of the Houston Rockets have tested positive for the use of cocaine. Accordingly, under the anti-drug agreement between the NBA and its Players Association, Mitchell Wiggins and Louis Lloyd are permanently disqualified from playing in our league.
There was no inclination at all that what was happening to our two teammates.
It's a fast track they're on from the standpoint of ladies to alcohol to dope. It's all there.
You have to really watch out what you say and what you do and who you say really hello to now, because you don't want to be a target.
Today, now that we've won 4 ball games in a row, if they both react to the problem and have as much success battling the problem now coming back as we've had in the last 4 ball games, well then we'll still get a happy ending on all this.
Mitchell Wiggins has already reacted. He is in a drug rehabilitation program in Van Nuys, California. Louis Lloyd's whereabouts are still unknown. In fact, I was talking to some of the players, and they're quite concerned about him. Joining us now live from Houston is the general manager of the Houston Rockets, Ray Patterson, and I guess good morning to you out there, Ray. And let me ask you this. You've been in the unenviable position of having 3 players go down from drugs, John, Lucas, and these 2. What has the club learned from this experience?
Well, I think, Pat, that we recognize that anyone who has an addiction on cocaine loses all sense of logic and does not have the capacity to be able to make a decision as far as turning himself in. And it's very difficult, not having those tools of logic, to come to the conclusion that the best thing for one is to turn oneself in.
As a result of this, you signed Alan Level on a 10-day contract. You picked up Cedric Maxwell. They both know Fitch's system. They both played for him. Is this the Houston Rockets we'll see at the end of the season? Are you done trading?
I think right now that Steve Harris has come through with flying colors. Alan Level shows great promise. So that we'll take a look at the ball club over the next 4 or 5 games. But I'm quite satisfied not only with the personnel of the ball club, but with the chemistry of the ball club and the fact that both Alan Level and Cedric Maxwell have played for Bill Fitch.
We alluded to the controversy over Wiggins and Sampson, the allegations that they were dogging it to get Fitch fired. You gave him a 3-year contract. I know that was a coincidence, the timing there. So Bill Fitch is the future of the Rockets. What about Ralph Sampson now? His contract is up at the end of this season, Mr. Patterson. Are you working on signing it?
Ralph Sampson is going to be with the Rockets as long as we have a franchise. And right now we're concerned about playing games this week and next week. And when the time comes, we'll be getting with Ralph to do the job.
All right, Ray, thank you very much for joining us on At the Half. Ray Patterson, the general manager of the Rockets. When we come back, we will switch gears dramatically and go out to Pasadena for a Super Bowl preview as At the Half rolls on after a word from your local station.
When you look for champions, look to Super Sunday on CBS Sports, starting with 2 teams with all the right moves. DePaul battles Georgetown, then a legendary rivalry. The Doctor of Philadelphia, the Birdman of Boston, a clash of titans, followed by pre-Super Bowl coverage. And then CBS Sports presents football's shining moment. Elway and the Broncos, LT and the Giants, Super Bowl 21. Super Sunday on CBS Sports.
Yeah. The gym helped me beat the streets, but I learned a lot more at the club than how to play basketball. I learned how to win off the court, too. The boys' club has been teaching kids how to be winners for a long time. Okay, guys, let's go. Today, kids need the boys' club more than ever. Your help can make a real difference. The club that beats the streets could use a hand. Yours.
Today's game from the Boston Garden is sponsored by Miller High Line. Miller made the American way since 1855. Nissan, who invites you to test drive the new Go Anywhere Nissan Pathfinder at your Nissan dealer now. And by the Century 21 System, the largest real estate sales organization in America. Back at Boston Garden, and I have 3 points to make concerning the big drug problems that we have in basketball and in all sports, really. Number one, you really wonder, with the death of Len Bias and then Don Rogers a week later and then this thing happening, whether the demon inside the bodies of people, which the cocaine drug is, will ever make them face reality. That's number one, and that's a big issue. But any plan is better than no plan at all, and I think the NBA has a good plan only because the players deserve the credit for this. It could never work without the players' cooperation, and the Players Association works this out with the league so that they really check themselves. The third point is, with the Players Association contract ending with the owners and a new one coming up after this year, you wonder if the Players Association maybe can't work out a further step, whether it's mandatory or random testing, so that maybe we come closer to ending this problem. Tommy Heinsohn, of course, was a coach of the Boston Celtics, and what kind of problems did that present for you being a coach with this demon?
It was just kind of starting in my last year of coaching, but when they start to expose the potential problem to you, it makes coaches paranoid. You're never really quite sure how to interpret a player's emotions and his reactions. And at one point, I might even found myself checking a guy out in the men's room at an airport. It really can get that difficult that a coach loses all sense of what's really going on.
Let's take a look at some halftime statistics as we get back to the world of basketball, not society, and we see that the Celtics are out shooting Boston, and it's the front line, and Sampson and Olajuwon are only 3 for 10 so far, and that's hurt the Rockets' cause.
I think the Rockets must continue to push the ball at the Celtics defense and not get frustrated if they don't get layups off their fast break. They've got to rely on a sledgehammer effect coming into the fourth quarter.
10-point lead, which has been the biggest lead the Celtics have enjoyed. 7 on the shot clock. Olajuwon. 2 seconds. They may not know the clock is running out. McCray does. Misses a 3-point shot. And Dennis Johnson gets the rebound. I don't think that's what Bill Fitch was looking for on the first offensive foray.
You want to get the ball inside on the first trip and make something happen, pick up a foul perhaps. Ended up with a long distance one.
Bird has 18, Parish 17, the leading scorers for the Celtics. Parish, great fake on Sampson. The rebound inside, and
that's what makes Danny Ainge such an unusual basketball player. A guard coming in there for a key offensive rebound saves the ball for Boston.
And a foul on Ralph Sampson, his third. Turnover into the hands of Dirk Minniefield. He didn't play much of the second period. Minniefield to Reid.
Now that's the type of thing. Reid on the wing after a quick push-up like that. The defense has to react to the penetration of Minniefield. They're going to get a lot of open shots if they can keep the tempo up.
Rockets shooting just 40%. Now trailing by 8. Dennis Johnson coming back. Johnson has 6 points in the ball game. That's his first field goal of the ball game. McCray has a screen. Loses it. Sampson loses the ball, and Ainge. And a foul is called, and so Ralph Sampson is just a step behind. He committed, or McCray committed, his 4th personal foul. So McCray has 4. Sampson, Olajuwon, and Reid have 3.
Now that's an important thing for the Rockets because Anderson would end up having to guard Bird, and they did a tune on Anderson.
McHale. Kevin McHale, who's playing with 3 fouls. And Bill Fitch wants to talk it over. 12-point lead for the Celtics. They remember what this man did when he wore the green. He was the MVP of the '81 playoffs in the championship win over the Celtics, joking with Larry Bird. Cedric Maxwell, who comes from the Clippers after 8 years with the Celtics.
And they gave him a standing ovation. I'll tell you, his importance to this ball club right now is going to be to cool Larry Bird down, play that defense, and maybe not know the offensive patterns, but he sure knows how to play defense.
Sampson was not looking for the pass. Reid threw it away. Reid, the leading scorer for the Rockets. Bird for the Celtics. Celtics with a 12-point lead. Bird missing. Sampson gets it out to Maxwell. Minniefield driving. No one there. Dennis Johnson lost it, and it's Olajuwon who gets the basket, but that's not what the Rockets had in mind.
Well, Olajuwon got up there in the perfect spot. Minniefield should have taken the shot, however, and they would have got an easy one.
2.5 minutes elapsed here in the third period. Bird with 20.
Well, Bird is having a lot of laughs at Maxwell, saying, "You're going to play me, huh?"
Olajuwon comes back with his second. He was a very quiet 7 at halftime.
And that hard push doesn't allow the double team to get down at Olajuwon quickly.
Sampson tried to knock the ball away from Bird from behind, and Bird hits again. Right now it's an Olajuwon-Bird shooting match. Minniefield. No good, out of bounds, still Rockets ball.
Max, you want to come back to the Boston Garden? Look at that. He's licking his chops. He's got Maxwell, and look at the smile on his face. Max not too happy, however.
Bird's having a ball. Knocked away, and mirror steal by Dennis Johnson. He makes you work, Dennis Johnson.
Well, so far, the Rockets have not executed their set offense smoothly at all.
Trailing by 12, 69-57, 8:40 remaining, third period. There's Olajuwon double teamed, and Dirk steals it. Great anticipation and a great shovel pass to Dennis Johnson.
Olajuwon, the challenge to him this year was to read the defense, find where the open man is when he gets double teamed.
Crowd starting to get on Sampson. Maxwell with a fake on McHale. Knocked away out of bounds, and a loose ball foul will be called against Danny Ainge of the Celtics.
Free safety defense by Bird. Look at him just step out there, knowing the pass was going to come, and pick it off, and there's Dennis Johnson on his way.
Bird has 4 steals in this game, and Danny Ainge nearly had one in his own right.
I'll tell you, Minniefield is trying to create something with some penetration, and the Celtics are playing him for the pass.
Minniefield played 14 minutes in the first half. Reid, and it's 71-59.
Well, there's a guy that can get them back into some kind of offensive rhythm. Robert Reid.
15 for Reid, the spokesman of the club. Parish going in, illegal defense called against the Rockets. Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn at Boston Garden, and Bill Fitch's Rockets are on the verge of foul difficulties. There they are with McCray leading the parade with 4. McHale with a turnaround. Kevin McHale.
And Olajuwon backed off him not to commit a foul.
Ainge on the steal, anticipated Minniefield play. The Celtic defense is giving him a bigger lead here, and McHale comes in again. Parish with the offensive rebound, and a foul on Maxwell. But it's the defense that's doing it for the Celtics now.
But look at the 2 big guys of the Boston Celtics get up there at the front end of the fast break. The Rockets' big guys are the ones that are supposed to have the speed.
But they're getting the break because of the turnovers. Houston is at 500 with 5 wins in a row, but the leaders in the Midwest Division have been a strong Dallas Maverick club at 24-14, and you know about Aguirre and Blackman and what they've done. But what about James Donaldson and his presence at center for the Mavericks?
Well, the Mavericks really have never had a behemoth center since their inception until this man showed up, Donaldson, and he has really done a job on the boards, I'll tell you, and that's a big reason why they're having a good season.
And Dick Motta's Mavericks will play host to the Lakers, Pat Riley, and they had a great 6-game series in the Western semifinal last year, 3:30 Eastern. Next Saturday on CBS Sports, we'll have a Saturday-Sunday NBA weekend for you as Parish hits the free throw and has 18 points. Alan Level has come into the ballgame for the Rockets. Level was a veteran guard who had played at Houston, re-signed to a 10-day contract this Wednesday. 1 out of 2 on the free throws. Maxwell has it for the Rockets.
Minniefield threw the ball away just a little bit too much for Bill Fitch. That's why Level's back in the game.
15-point lead, though, is the biggest lead of the ball game for the Celtics.
Take him out. Take him, man.
Sampson off balance. Parish has it.
A bad shot.
Sampson 1 for 7. And only 6 points.
Why he doesn't use the hook shot like Kareem at 7'4", I'll wonder till the day I die.
Ainge goes for 3. Danny Ainge with a 3-point shot. Only his second basket of the ball game, and the Celtics threatening to open this one up in a wide margin with a 77-59 lead. The Rockets better get their act together, otherwise they're going to be left at the post. Olajuwon, fall away. Bad shots. The Rockets are not getting good shots. Credit the Celtic defense for that.
They're getting the ball inside the Rockets, but the big guys aren't coming up with good shots there.
Parish against Olajuwon. Sampson cleared. Celtics are back on the D. Sampson puts it on the floor and misses the jump shot. And the rebound by McHale. And the Rockets are flat. Bird was looking for a foul. Celtics still have it.
Here's Maxwell saying hello to Danny Ainge. All right, you're going to set a pick on me? Not while I'm around.
Dennis Johnson in the lane. Finds an opening. Hakeem. 6 minutes to go in the third period. 77-59, and Maxwell gets his first basket in a Rocket uniform.
Now, Maxwell is an old fast break devotee. He knows how to handle it in the middle and knows how to take it to the hoop.
They have Reid on Bird now. Level was supposed to guard Johnson. Johnson lost him, and Dennis hits the bucket.
Well, they're hitting on all cylinders now. Inside and outside shots. Going to confuse the Rockets defense. How are we going to play them?
Maxwell, Olajuwon. Hakeem has 13. Reid, the leading scorer for Houston, with 50. Bird has 22 for Boston.
You know, when Maxwell was on the Celtic Ball Club, I thought he was the second best passer next to Larry Bird.
Let's take a look at the shooting. Celtics have been shooting the lights out throughout this game, especially right now. They missed the three-pointer. Parish has his shot blocked. Bird goes up. Maxwell with the Celtics back on defense. That last foul was on Level. Hakeem with a fall away, and Olajuwon with the basket, and it's 79-65 with 4:40 remaining in the third period.
That last fall away is his normal fall away shot. He can hit that.
And Hakeem knocks it away, and the foul is called against Parish, a loose ball foul, and that's only the second personal on Robert Parish.
They spent an entire season teaching Olajuwon how to go out and make steals, and I'll tell you, he learned that lesson well.
Leads his club in that department. Maxwell gets a good step on Bird, and the ball is lost out of bounds. Max has got to be happy to be back with a contender after 2 years with the Clippers and languishing on that team.
Well, he said he wouldn't let his hair grow until the Clippers won a ball game, and he's got about a ½ an inch growth because they just won their first ball game in a long time. But I guess he's going to end up with an afro by the end of the season here.
McHale gets fouled. You know, Maxwell has added a lot of humor. You know, when the Clippers snapped their 16-game losing streak finally, he suggested they should pour a bucket of Gatorade over Coach Don Chaney, similar to what the Giants do with Bill Parcells. So he knows how to laugh.
Remember the year in the playoffs he came out with 2 different colored sneakers?
Yep. 2 fouls on Level.
1-1.
Quite simply now, the Celtics defense has taken away the rhythm of the set offense of the Rockets, and Maxwell not knowing that offense, it's going to further complicate the issue.
Celtics had a 5-point lead after 1 period, 10 at the half, and they've ballooned it right now. to 16, and an illegal defense called against the Celtics. Each team has been called once for an illegal defense. That means a technical next time.
Well, I didn't see where it was, but it was either Danny Ainge or Larry Bird. But Casey said, I didn't see it either.
Level. Hakeem double and triple team, scores anyway, and Olajuwon has 10 points here in this third period, and the Rockets have a long way to go still.
They leave Olajuwon play the low post on the left side of the court, so that when he gets the ball, he can power into the middle.
And now Bill Fitch doesn't like the call, giving the Celtics the possession of the ball. And I wonder whether Fitch, they want to get his team sparked some way anyway. Parish. And Olajuwon clears with 3:25 to go. Level. Good open court player is called for the offensive foul.
Now that was a bad call. I think that was a bad call.
Well, maybe his left hand went in to Dennis Johnson a little bit too much.
Well, he got angled off the basket a little bit too as he was going to the hoop. (81-67) the Celtics. 3:10 remaining in the third. They double Bird. McHale misses. Sampson with another rebound, throws it into the hands of Dennis Johnson. Tried a behind the back pass and lost out, and a foul is called against the Celtics, I believe. I'm not sure who that foul is on, but we will have a timeout, and I guarantee you when we come back we'll tell you. Looks like against Houston. Bill Fitch has got to be awfully frustrated, Tommy. His team has won 5 in a row, and I think coming in, he felt with the Celtics having problems with their bench, they were on a roll. They might be able to get a game.
Who says a guy and his family?
Syracuse Orangemen, ranked 5th, one of 4 undefeated clubs, will go against the defending Big Ten champion Michigan Wolverines. Should be quite a clash at Ann Arbor coming up next. The NCAA basketball on CBS Sports, and then Sports Sunday, the season premiere, and Tim Ryan will have the Super Bowl preview, the All-Madden team. John Madden and Pat Summerall will be there, plus the World Triathlon Championship at 4:30 Eastern. The story of this game has been simply the Celtic defense. They stopped the break early, and now they have really cut down the Rocket set offense.
Remember what we talked about at the top, the tempo of the game? The Celtics have controlled it. They have run their fast break better than Houston has been able to run theirs. And when Boston has gotten 3 guys back, Larry Bird, the key man, getting back quickly, and McHale and Parish have managed to hang on with Sampson and Olajuwon coming up the court. When they get to the set offense, the Rockets, Boston is really double teaming and disrupting the rhythm of whatever Houston is trying to do.
Johnson with the 2 free throws. The foul was on Allen Level of Houston. Jim Peterson has come into the ball game for the Rockets. They've got Maxwell, Olajuwon, and Peterson, and Ralph Sampson, who scored 6 points in the first 5 minutes of the game, has not scored anything since. Olajuwon from Maxwell. No one will challenge that. And Hakeem now with 19. He's averaging over 23 and a half. And now Casey Jones wants a 22nd timeout, and Parish is shaken up. They've already lost 1 center in Walton, and now Robert Parish limps to the bench, and Ray Melchiori tends to him. And this is now a full timeout. Well, from a year ago, it'd be interesting, and Tommy, it looks like the balance has been apparent in the NBA. Let's take a look at the most improved teams in the league. Golden State, Indiana, Detroit, and Chicago, and that's why there is a lot of balance, because of these teams who were losers other than Detroit a year ago.
Well, Golden State, I think their coach has had a real, George Karl has had a real impact on that team, getting a lot of good effort from Joe Barry-Carroll. Indiana, Frank Ramsey, Jack Ramsey did exactly the same thing. And I just think the coaching has been exceptional for those 2 ball clubs.
By the way, you mentioned Jack Ramsey. Congratulations to Jack for achieving his 800th career coaching victory, and he has been rejuvenated and done a fine job with an Indiana club. Chuck Person, a lot of people, Kevin Lockery today said that he thought that Chuck Person was the best rookie. He's going to get an argument from those people that think Ron Harper is. We saw Brad Daugherty the other night, and basically Ramsey has helped that Indiana franchise, and we talked about Doug Collins before with Chicago.
Well, I think Chicago really has done an outstanding job with no real center, but Detroit is silently creeping up on everybody and really going to surprise you when you play them. Their big people are playing exceptionally well.
They are doing that, and only a game behind the Atlanta Hawks, who have really maintained a tremendous pace all year. They've lost Spud Webb for the season, but Dominique Wilkins, Kevin Willis, and the rest have given Atlanta that pad. And these two guys, everyone knows about Dominique, but Doc Rivers and Kevin Willis have been two players who have had outstanding years for Mike Fratello's team.
But I think the loss of Spud Webb is going to hurt their style of play a little bit. He was an accelerator for that fast break style.
There's the time remaining in the third period, 83-69, and an offensive foul called against the Celtics, and it's going to be Dennis Johnson.
Well, Maxwell knows how to act in the Boston Garden.
You've seen that.
He drew the foul on Dennis Johnson.
Level. That's what Level does. He can penetrate. He gets his first basket, and the Rockets trail by 12, 83-71. They were down by 18.
Now, this is not over, this basketball game, by any stretch of the imagination. If the Rockets can keep running at the Boston Celtics, the Parishes and the McHales might get tired coming down to the last 6 minutes of this ball game.
Parish. He has been cold in the second half from the field, and now Level pushes it up. Rockets have scored 6 straight points. Air ball tossed up by Olajuwon.
A little bit better shot selection off the fast break wouldn't hurt either for the Rockets.
Lead is 12, nearly a minute and a half remaining, third period. Peterson challenging McHale, goaltending against Olajuwon, and McHale has his 17th point of the ball game.
The standard way of trying to defend against Kevin McHale right now is front them a little bit, but the Boston guards have become exceptional at those lob passes over the top.
Rockets would like to get it, I'm sure, with close to 10 as possible before the end of this half. The Celtics only their third team foul, and it's on Dennis Johnson, his third.
Boy, Maxwell, does he know how to spread out to get position in that low post? You can't get around him.
That's the first foul within 2 minutes. The second one will be the penalty. Level gets that drop for him. Level seeing a lot of action in the game. Keep in mind, he was just signed again Wednesday. And now it's a 12-point game again. And now the crowd's starting to churn it up.
Yep, and justifiably so. The longer we go into this game now, Boston bench may be a factor. Played very well in the first half.
And illegal defense called against the Rockets, and that'll be a technical foul. That's the second violation.
Now, Celtics have gone this entire quarter, the 52 seconds left to go, without a substitution, Dick. And the Rockets are making a move, and this is the point where Casey Jones has to make a decision. Do I try and win the game over the next 5 minutes and give up the stamina of some of my big guys, or do I use my bench a little bit?
Bird with his 23rd point. Three-point attempt by Bird. That's the way to do it if you want to really open up that game. Larry Bird had his longest three-point drought of the season. 3 games, had not hit one after coming back to the lineup from his recent injury. Hits one there, and traveling called against Peterson, turns it over to the Celtics. And it looks like Casey Jones may have gambled right in his strategy.
He is saying right now, I'm going to try and win it in the next couple of minutes, keep that lead, push it up nearer 20 again.
Three-point attempt by Ainge. Air ball. Maxwell has it. 26 seconds to go. Level coming back. Peterson is open. And the Celtics can play for the last shot. It's 89-75. Biggest lead for Boston was 18. Now it's 14. Bird fires it from three-point range and hits it with 1 second to play in the period, and he was falling off the court. And now we're not done here. Mike Mathis goes over to the scorer's table, and it looks like the Celtics have the ball. The clock shows no timeout, and we may have 1 second put on the clock in the Celtics with the ball, because no one touched the ball and it went out of bounds. So it's still 1 second.
I'll tell you, put that Bird shot in your memory book, because he does come up with some damage.
Oh, he was falling off the court. And now the Celtics have 1 second. They have a 17-point lead. They can't do it, and that'll do it at the end of the period. But Larry Bird comes through with 2 big 3-point bombs. And at the end of the third period, the score, the Celtics 92, the Rockets 75. We'll return after this word from your local station. On CBS, today's game has been sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. To make matters worse for the Rockets, Allen Level was hit with a technical foul, which will be shot as we start this fourth period. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn here at Boston Garden. Here was Larry Bird's shot.
What a great pick by Robert Parish on Maxwell to create this opening. But look at Bird right in that corner. And I'll tell you, that is one tough shot when you're totally set, let alone leaning like Larry was.
Remember that game 6 when Bird had the ball in the lane and all of a sudden ran to the corner as if someone was chasing him and let go of the 3-point shot to really bury the Rockets? He hits the technical foul, and Bird now with 30 points in the ball game. Parish has 18, McHale 17, and what else is new for the Celtics front line? Leading scorer Olajuwon for the Rockets with 19 points. Not much Bill Fitch can do.
But it ain't over yet, as they say, because if the Rockets can just a little hustle, some strong defense, and a few fast break opportunities, they can climb back into this game quickly.
But they've got to do it quickly. As Ainge misses, McHale gets the rebound and is fouled. Thing for the Rockets is they can't dawdle for 4 or 5 minutes and have the lead at 16 or 14. They've got to make some inroads soon.
Well, the Boston Celtics absolutely have dictated the tempo and pace of this ball game. They get the good fast break opportunities, and the Rockets have taken some bad shots off their fast break in frustration more than anything else.
Peterson's foul, his second. McHale, who has hit 50% or better from the field in 33 of 36 games, makes 2 free throws, one away from another 20-point game.
You know, this building for Ralph Sampson may be what the free throw line is for Greg Kite. Psych himself out.
Line drive shot by Robert Reid. He's been the only effective outside shooter. Harris had it going for a while. He had 12 points. We haven't seen much of him in the second half. Parish, outstanding game, outstanding year. Coming out of the pack, Reid. McCray. That's what he does best. Rodney McCray now with the 10 points.
Now there's a point where the Celtics might crack. If they keep putting the speed on them and the fast break, Robert Parish and McHale have played a lot of minutes. They give up some easy hoops to Olajuwon and Peterson.
Celtics biggest lead, 20. Parish trying to regain footing, loses it. Olajuwon, now McCray. Rockets looking to cut it to 16 or even less. Reid has a lot of time. This is the 3-pointer. He was open, and that was the shot, except that you go for the 3-pointer, you miss a chance to whittle away at the Celtic lead if it doesn't go. McHale. Olajuwon clears. We haven't seen Sampson for a while, and he's not played well this afternoon again at Boston Garden. Minniefield. Reid keeps it alive to McCray, and Ainge slaps it away. The value of Danny Ainge. You know, when we get a break, we've got to talk about that. The fact that he's playing despite a tough sprained ankle is one thing. 2 minutes going by, fourth period. McHale over Peterson. Out of bounds, Celtic ball.
One indication of when ball players get tired, Dick, is they front rim shots. The last 2 shots that Kevin McHale took, he front rimmed them.
Danny Ainge, his running ability, defensively. Casey Jones talks in glowing terms about him. Night for the All-Star game, the starters, the Eastern Conference as of right now. This is the way it looks, or as of Wednesday, the last time they tabulated the votes. Dominique Wilkins, Larry Bird at forward, Moses Malone is the center, Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas in the backcourt. Not a bad group. Out west, Ralph Sampson and James Worthy at forward, Hakeem at center, and Magic Johnson and Darrell Griffith of Utah at guard.
As always, going to be a great game. We're looking at this guy. I call him the fall through the cracks offensive player. Nobody runs a play for Danny Ainge, and yet somehow he scores points.
And he's getting a breather now. Jerry Seasting comes in. Dennis Johnson drives and gets the hoop. Steve Harris has also come in for the Rockets. 97-79. Fourth period, and the Celtics show no indication that they're going to let the Rockets get back in this game. Peterson finds Olajuwon, knocked away, and it's Boston ball. This is a workmanlike Celtic game right now. Leading scorers of the game. Two men who will start the All-Star game. Confidently say that, I would.
Well, Casey Jones has put Seasting in there because Seasting will do the same type of job and probably give Danny a little bit of a rest off that sore ankle.
Seasting misses the shot. Peterson clears. Minniefield. Off the hands of McHale. Seasting is fouled. 3 minutes gone by, final period, 97-79. And the Celtics are making the Rockets remember what happened last June.
Well, Minniefield really put the heat on the defense, but he just made a bad pass, tried to force a pass through two defenders.
4 fouls on Olajuwon. Bird. There's Hakeem, who has 9 rebounds. Been averaging 12, and the Rockets turn it over again. Bird to Seasting. Great pass by Bird to the baseline, and Seasting in stride gives the Celtics again a 20-point lead.
Well, Casey's decision right now looks pretty good. Keep with those first 5 as long as possible. Back up to 20.
Olajuwon goes up and he's fouled, and the foul is called against Robert Parish.
Now you watch Bird come up with that ball, and Seasting really busted, and then Bird takes it to the 2 defenders and allows Seasting to really swoop in there. Nice pass.
Bird has 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. Now the Celtics have to play the New York Knicks tomorrow afternoon. And I wouldn't be surprised if Casey Jones at some point says, I've got to really empty the bench and give this club a rest.
Now that is a real threat to the Celtics, playing tough back-to-back games that really challenge their big people. But somehow or other, Robert Parish and Kevin McHale have withstood that challenge, and so has Larry Bird.
Bird travels before the shot.
Right now, the Rockets are a disheartened bunch, I'll tell you. I would love to see them just get their nose dirty and dig in and play some tough defense against the Celtics. That's the way to climb back into this thing.
Illegal defense against Boston. That'll be a technical foul the second time, and the Rockets will shoot. Casey Jones knows that when the Celtics take to the floor here, you can just about expect to win. The Lakers snapped the Celtics' 48-game winning streak at Boston Garden earlier this year.
Inside, man.
And in the NBA, it's tougher for visiting clubs to win than it is in other sports. Pike comes in the game for the Celtics.
And I'll tell you, he made quite a contribution in the first half. 5 points is a lot of points for Ray Kike to make in a limited action.
Olajuwon missing, and Johnson has it. 99-81, the Celtics. 7.5 to play.
Bird. When you're down on defense, Bird will shoot over you. That's what happened to McCray that time.
32 points. Dennis Johnson tries to steal it and get it over to Seasting and couldn't.
I tell you, Dennis Johnson ices down both his ankles after every practice, after every game.
The Rockets scored the first basket of the game. The Celtics took over the lead that they've never had to look back. Rockets cut it to 46-44, 5 minutes left in the half. And the Celtics have just dominated this team today. Peterson Still Rocket ball. Under 7 to play. McCray gets the basket and a foul as well. Good move inside by Rodney McCray. And there's a story concerning Rodney McCray. He's carrying a huge burden. And we'll tell you about it when we come back. He's a very strong man in a lot of ways. Rodney McCray has had to live with. His 5-year-old daughter April has an operable brain tumor. Can you imagine having to live with that day in and day out? He says that if he didn't have basketball, he would go crazy. It's such a tough thing to have hanging over your head, and yet Rodney McCray goes out and plays the game as well as he plays it day in and day out. Tremendous sobering story concerning Rodney McCray, and of course our wishes go out and heartfelt hopes to his family.
Well, if his daughter is anything like Rodney McCray, she's going to be a real competitor, and if there's any way for her to battle it, she takes after her father, she'll survive.
You know, Rodney wants to be upbeat. You know, he doesn't want to get down about it, but it's a story that he's been living with that many people around the country may not be aware. 101 to 83, and Casey Jones has gone to his bench. Fred Roberts misses the shot. Harris gets the rebound. Kevin McHale is the only starter. Sam Vincent in for the first time. Vincent has the ball. It's Vincent and Seasting in the backcourt. McHale with Greg Knight and Fred Roberts up front. And Larry Bird is gone to 32 points in the ball game. Don't expect to see him come back. 101-83. Vincent shooting over Harris. And Sam Vincent, #1 pick out of Michigan State. What's happened to Sam?
I think Sam was a victim of the fact that Jerry Seasting is only 6'1". When Sam might have been able to play, it would have meant that he would have to play with Jerry Seasting, and that backcourt, in Casey's opinion, was too small. And I think because he didn't play a lot as a rookie, he got disheartened and lost his confidence.
Harris from Seasting. Steve Harris has 15 points. Coming up next, it'll be undefeated Syracuse against the Michigan Wolverines. Always tough at home. The basket is going to count and a foul. Sam Vincent going baseline.
And I see quite a lot of the Boston Celtics during the course of the year. And this kid, to me, the one thing that he was doing wrong was taking off too far from the basket on his penetration. And right here, you see him take it strong, that extra dribble, where he could use either side of the basket.
Foul on Maxwell, the three-point play, 106 to 85. Biggest lead of the game now, 21 points for the Celtics. Robert Reid from the corner. Maxwell. There's Seasting. Celtics getting the bounces, and Sampson will be called for the foul on Seasting. And of course the crowd fully remembers when those two squared off at the Summit in Houston in Game 5 last year.
Well, you can't cause a big man to run, or any man to run into you, and that's exactly what Seasting did that time. They're booing Sampson because he hit him, but Seasting was the one that created the contact.
Seasting's second foul. Maxwell gets the basket and the foul, and Darren Day will send McHale to the bench. McHale, 19 points. It's only the second game this year that Kevin McHale did not score 20 points for the Celtics. Here's Darren Day.
The one thing I've noticed about the Houston Rockets here in this ball game is that they can be easily frustrated if they don't get easy layup baskets off their fast break, and they lose their confidence, and they don't have the mental toughness to keep coming at you with that speed all the time, and they really do show a little frustration.
Well, this game, while it's only January, carries some significance, I feel, because the Rockets, if they do get to the finals again, and I know they've had a lot of problems, have to start indicating that they could play the Celtics tough at Boston Garden, and they have not proved that yet. Reid goes for 3, and he's got it. Robert Reid with 20 points now.
Well, with the addition of Maxwell and Robert Reid, who's been here a couple of times in the finals, Maxwell certainly had a career here playing finals.
Sure, but Ralph Sampson's going to have to start producing.
And so is Olajuwon.
4:35 remaining. Seasting. And it's last touched by Darren Day, and it'll be Rockets ball. Nope. Celtics maintain possession.
This is the total green team now. Or as I like to call it, the black and blue team. And it's really primarily Casey Jones would like to meld this group together or mold it together as a defensive unit, a press team perhaps, much like Hubie Brown did.
Height. This is the hook shot. Still Celtics ball. You've got to have that other unit going for you. I know Dallas is doing well because they have a fine second unit this year. I think that today's game, you've got to have it.
Without a real good offensive unit in that second team, you got to do it some way. Take the legs out from underneath the other ball club with a little defense.
Seasting hit the basket. Harris missed at the other end.
And Roberts can play good defense, and so can Darren Day.
Seasting in attack. Here's Fred Roberts. And they're going to call Houston ball and Greg Kite with a loose ball foul. 3:49 remaining in the fourth period. A workmanlike, efficient surgeon's job by the Celtics this afternoon, keyed by their defense. And here's another example. Seasting.
Well, there's the good hands of Darren Day and Jerry Seasting. And that's why Casey Jones feels that perhaps this team could make a great press team and really contribute more than perhaps an offensive team.
Harris with the jumper. No team has repeated in the NBA since the Celtics of '69. And what do you think the chances are at this point?
Pretty tough for Boston because of all those injuries. If they had Walton here right now, I'd say, hey, not bad chances, but it's a long way yet to the playoffs. And the playoffs to get to the finals is even longer.
Darren Day hit 112-93. And a foul. You know, everyone figured that the Houston Rockets were just going to move to the top of the West and dominate there. But I think that has spurred on the Lakers to their amazing year. Dallas looks like they're better. It's just wide open. Who knows who will be playing in June? We got a long way to go and a timeout here at the Garden. Used to be next Sunday, Super Sunday is CBS Sports, and it begins at 11:30 Eastern with NCAA basketball, DePaul against Georgetown, followed by the NBA game, the Philadelphia 76ers against the Boston Celtics, one of the great rivalries of the sport. Julius Erving, Charles Barkley, Larry Bird back here at the Garden, and then Super Bowl 21 preview. The Super Bowl today, and of course Super Bowl 21 between the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants, and tremendous interest in that game. John Elway, Lawrence Taylor, the great Giant defense. What a great comeback the Broncos made against the Cleveland Browns. 98-yard drive to get to the Super Bowl. That's all next Sunday on CBS. 112-94, Boston with under 3 minutes to go. Dave Feidel has come in the ball game. A second-round draft pick out of University of Texas at El Paso. He's a 7-footer. And a loose ball foul has been charged against Kite. There's Feidel. Rick Carlisle is also into the ball game. Backcourt reserve for the Celtics. Carlisle played at the University of Virginia along with Ralph Sampson, who has retired to the bench after a lackluster game. 6 points, all in the first 5 minutes, and nothing the rest of the game.
I tell you, Houston, I think, is positioned up, even though they've lost this game, it looks like, and might be by a healthy margin. I'd say that they are positioned up to make a real strong stretch drive in their conference. I like what they've done. I like some of the games I saw this week. They're healthy and they're ready to go.
Well, I think Dallas is going to give them a pretty good challenge, because I think that the Mavericks have good bench people. Benson coming around the screen, misses. Allen level. Has Harris on the wing. Day is guarding here. Reid goes for another three-pointer. And Day with 2:14 to go. So the reserves have a chance to play, and we're going to see who the current hero is. The fans' favorite from the bench will be making his entrance. Darren Day gets the basket and a foul on a good pass from Carlisle. And I'm talking about Connor Henry. Connor Henry was the 4th-round draft pick from the Houston Rockets. He's on his second 10-day contract. a long-range field goal, and he has won the hearts of the fans here.
He made 3 for 3, I believe it was, that night. 3-point plays, and he had him standing in this building at garbage time. Since then, however, he's not been so good. He went 0 for 8 in Detroit. He's got offensive credentials, but what else does he do? That's what the Celtic fans want to see, as well as me.
Richard Anderson, the long-range 6'10" shooter, misses, and Henry with the rebound. Casey Jones likes him. He says, I expect he's going to be with the club, and if he survives this next 10-day deal, he's with the club or has to be paid the rest of the way.
I mean, his impact, who's the guy, Hawk Harrelson, your cohort, came into this town and captured the imagination of the people. That's what this kid did when he...
Does he wear a Nehru jacket?
Not yet, but watch out.
Does he wear cowboy hats all the time? Kite goes up, and he's fouled on a good feed from Henry.
Well, he got a rebound, Dick, and made a nice pass on the pick and roll.
All right, you're a Connor Henry man.
Well, I'm looking at him virtually for the first time, too. I want to see this guy make the free throw.
We want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Pacific Division.
I'll tell you, give him a sled and some dogs. He's up in the Yukon.
1:35 remaining, 116-94. Anderson from level. 20-point lead. 22-point lead was the biggest margin for the Celtics today. Had a 5-point lead at the quarter, 10 at the half. Ran away in the second half of the game. Carlisle misses the one-hander. 1:10 to go, and Anderson on the fast break. The LA Lakers right now have the best record in the NBA. The Celtics have the second best record. The Lakers are 28-8, and they're playing the Bullets later this afternoon in Washington. Vincent misses. Anderson lead pass to Maxwell, picked off by Vincent. And Sam with a good move down the middle. The All-Star game, by the way, is 3 weeks from today at Seattle. And the voting ends Friday night. Carlisle getting his own rebound and a foul. Let's take a close look at the Pacific Division, where the Lakers have surprised a lot of people by coming on as strong and as intensely as they had. That's Pat Riley deserves a lot of credit. The Lakers team does. Magic Johnson has handled the scoring burden. Portland without Bowie has done well. But a lot of people are looking to Golden State, the most improved team in the NBA.
I'll tell you, Joe Barry Carroll, who a lot of people feel can be a great player, and George Karl is, I think, bringing out of him. And they're making their run. Portland has hung in there after losing Sam Bowie. And I think that first-year coach up there is doing a fantastic job. Mike Shula.
Sleepy Floyd getting back to Golden State has given him a tremendous playmaker. And Chris Mullin is having a better year. Richard Anderson shaken up for the moment. And, of course, next week, it'll be the Philadelphia 76ers here, and they have Jeff Rulin back. And right now they trail the Celtics by 6 games in the division, and they've had to fend off improved Washington.
And the team I am wondering about, who looks like they may be getting their act together, is the New York Knickerbockers. And they've changed their style. Remember Christmas Day? They put that fast break style in with their new coach, Bob Hill. And I think they have to be reckoned with the two big guys. They've got their own version of Twin Towers, but using it with a fast break style to boot.
None of the Atlantic Division clubs are doing better than they were a year ago at this time. And the Bullets, they like a rookie named John Williams, who came out early out of LSU. Kevin Lockery says it's his best passer. Final seconds being ticked off now, and Steve Harris short on the jumper. Idle, battling Kite. A lot of big bodies in there, and a foul is called. Don't forget, we'll have the Miller Lite MVP after the ball game. We'll show you who he is. Foul is on Darren Day. Coming up next, Syracuse and Michigan. Jim Boeheim's team against Bill Frieder's Wolverines, and will be sending out shortly to Ann Arbor. And that'll be a fine intersectional matchup. Michigan will try to send the Orangemen to their first defeat of the year. Michigan nearly beat tough Indiana this past week. And Connor Henry. Was it a three? And the ball game is over. A 2-point shot, but he sends him home cheering and sends Casey Jones home smiling. Connor Henry with a 2-point shot. The Boston Celtics in a decisive fashion trounce the Houston Rockets 122-99. Larry Bird scores 32 points to lead the Celtics. 20 for Olajuwon and Reid, and an emotional week for Bill Fitch and the Houston Rockets, who have their 5-game winning streak, the longest in the league at the current time, snapped. Final score 122-99. We'll be back, but right now let's send you to Vern Lundquist at Ann Arbor to preview the Syracuse Michigan. 4 in a row and 11 of their last 12 as they end the Rockets' 5-game winning streak in impressive fashion, 122-99. And our Miller Lite most valuable player of the game is Larry Bird, who does not have a triple-double this season. He needed 1 rebound and 1 assist, as you see, for his first triple-double, but he'll take it every time. Larry Bird, with 32 points, leads the Celtics to a rout. They had a 10-point lead at halftime and blew them away in the second half thanks to airtight defense that stopped the Rockets' fast break and their setup game. 122-99. We'll be back in a moment. Tom Heinsohn, I'm Dick Stockton, saying so long from the Boston Garden. The final score, the Celtics 122, the Rockets 99. Next Saturday, the NBA on CBS travels to Texas, where the Los Angeles Lakers face the Dallas Mavericks at 3:30 Eastern. But coming up next, it's great NCAA basketball action when the Syracuse Orangemen take on the Michigan Wolverines. NBA on CBS has been a presentation of CBS Sports.